The OBR is the UK's official fiscal watchdog. It's our job to look at the health of the UK's public finances and to make that more transparent for voters and citizens. Twice a year, the OBR produces forecasts for the UK public finances. That's how much the government is going to spend, how much it's going to raise in tax, how much it'll borrow, how much it'll accumulate in debt. In order to do that, we need to incorporate an estimate of public expenditure. So in a spending review, when the government announces how much it's going to spend on current and capital spending, on public services, administration and the like, we take those limits and reach a judgment about how much the government is likely to over or underspend them in aggregate, and then we put those into our forecasts. Normally, the government separates the spending review into two parts. First of all, it announces the total amounts of money that it's going to spend, divided up between investment spending and day-to-day spending on things like public services, administration and grants to local government. Then there's a second stage at which things are allocated between different departments. Our job basically comes in the first stage. We look at the overall figures that the government has presented and we make judgments about how much they're likely to over or underspend those totals, and then we incorporate them in our forecasts. We also have to ask the government what they're provisionally intending to spend in the years beyond the spending review and incorporate that as well. It's not our job to look specifically at the way in which the money is divided up between departments, or indeed at how well or efficiently it's going to be spent. In the run-up to every budget or autumn statement, we have a confidential interaction with the government in which we give them a set of forecasts for the outlook for the economy and the public finances, and partly based on those, they will give us a set of plans of what they're thinking to do on taxation and public expenditure. And at the end of the process, we take our forecast, the last version of it after a number of iterations, and then we add on top the impact of the measures that the government finally decides to go ahead with. In a spending review, the key decision that the government makes that matters to us is the total amount that it's going to allocate as limits on current spending, that's day-to-day spending, and capital spending on investment and things of that sort. So when we take those two things together, we can then incorporate them in our forecasts at the end of the day, and that then allows us to explain transparently how the public finances are going to evolve, we think, and then what impact the government's decisions will have made. And we also, of course, explain the uncertainty around that, which includes the fact that the government may spend more or less than it's set out as limits.